Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. We'll start with the headlines. The Higher Education Admission Center announces that 31,493 scholarships are available for graduates of the General Diploma and its equivalent. The number of expatriate manpower in the Sultanate stabilized at more than 1.5 million workers by the end of May 2014. And 160 Palestinians are killed in 6 days of the Israeli offensive in Gaza. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in details. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Francois Hollande of France on his country's National Day. His Majesty the Sultan received a cable of thanks from His Excellency President Georgi Margasilavshi of Georgia in reply to His Majesty's cable of greetings on his country's independence anniversary. The Higher Education Admission Center announced in a press conference today that around 31,493 scholarships are available for graduates of the General Diploma and its equivalent. The technology colleges accommodate the highest percentage by specializing 10,500 seats, followed by internal full-fee scholarships by 22%, in addition to internal and external scholarships that reach 321, which are provided by companies working in the Sultanate. Around 643 programs in various scientific, literature, engineering and IT specializations will be provided to graduates of General Diploma students to determine their educational approach. The number of expatriate manpower in the Sultanate was stable by the end of May 2014, compared to the previous month, with a slight decrease registered of expatriate workers in the private sector. Data issued by National Center for Statistics and Information revealed that the total of expatriate manpower in the Sultanate reached 1,534,000 workers by the end of May. Statistics also showed that most of them are concentrated in the Governorate of Muscat, with more than 671,000, followed by the Governorate of North Batna by 199,000, and the Governorate of Masandam was the least among the governorates of expatriate presence. The Public Authority for Consumer Protection at the Governorate of North Batna was able to reach judicial verdicts against suppliers and traders of fines worth 2,500 Omani Riyals. The cases varied between marketing expired commodities, selling spoiled meat, and practicing false and misguiding promotion, which led to gaining higher prices than the actual selling cost. And still to come in our news bulletin. The number of visitors to Salah al-Kharif reached around 20,000 by the end of June. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Thousands fled their homes in a Gaza town today after Israel warned them to leave ahead of threatened attacks on rocket launching sites. On the 6th day of an offensive that Palestinian officials said has killed at least 160 people. Hours earlier, 18 people were killed when the house of Gaza's police chief was bombed from the air in the single deadliest attack of Israel's offensive. Despite intensified Israeli military action, which included a commando raid overnight, militants continued to launch rockets across the border. A long-range salvo this morning triggered air raid sirens at Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion International Airport, which has not been hit in the hostilities and where flights have been operating normally, and some city suburbs as well. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis sought shelter as Palestinians in the streets of Gaza City cheered the launchings, the biggest strike yet on the Tel Aviv metropolitan area. The Gaza Health Ministry said at least 160 Palestinian, including about 135 civilians, among them some 30 children, have been killed in 6 days of warfare and more than 1,000 have been wounded. The French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius today said that securing a ceasefire for the Gaza Strip and preventing an escalation of the latest outbreak of hostilities between Israel and the Palestinians was top priority for France. Ahead of a side discussion on the latest outbreak of hostilities in Gaza with U.S. Secretary of State, British Foreign Secretary and German Foreign Minister, Fabius told reporters in this context of a dangerous escalation, France asked for a return to the 2012 ceasefire. Iraq's parliament failed today to break a damaging political deadlock which is holding up the formation of a new government to tackle insurgency raging less than 80 kilometers from Baghdad. After a brief session, parliamentary officials delayed until Tuesday their efforts to reach agreements on the posts of Prime Minister, President and Parliamentary Speaker. Meanwhile, insurgents who control large parts of northern Iraq attacked the town of Dhulu'iyya of Baghdad earlier today, seizing local government buildings. The police and witnesses said local police and tribes were battling the militants in Dhulu'iyya today. They said 4 policemen were killed in the fighting, as well as 2 militants and 2 civilians. In the western city of Fallujah, a hospital received 3 bodies and 18 wounded people yesterday after army helicopters bombed the city. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry arrived in Vienna today to continue multi-country negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. Kerry has this to say.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be here in Vienna and look forward to meeting with my colleagues in the P3+1 in order to discuss where we are in the negotiations, get caught up. And obviously we have some very significant gaps still. So we need to see if we can make some progress. And I really look forward to a very substantive and important set of meetings and dialogues. And we obviously, this is a very important subject. It is vital to make certain that Iran is not going to develop a nuclear weapon, that their program is peaceful. That's what we're here to try to achieve, and I hope we can make some progress in it. Thank you all very much.
Muscat Securities Market MSM's general index today added 0.27 points, comprising a rise by 0.04% to close at 7,190 points. The trading value today stood at 5.93 million Omani Riyals, comprising a decline by 21.7% compared to the last session, which stood at 7.57 million Omani Riyals. The report released by MSM pointed out that the market value fell by 0.03% to reach about 15.16 billion Omani Riyals. The report added that the value of shares bought by non-Omani investors reached 627,000, comprising about 10.58%. The value of shares sold by non-Omani investors reached 696,000 Omani Riyals, comprising 11.74%. The net non-Omani investment declined by 1.17% to 69,000 Omani Riyals. Statistics conducted by numerous bodies showed that visitors to Salah al-Kharif season reached 20,000 since the start of the statistics between the end of June until the 9th of July. It's worth mentioning that the mountains of the governorate of Dhofar have become green these days with the continuation of drizzle fall on the mountains, valleys and plains. It's expected that the number of tourists will increase this year to enjoy nature's beauty as the Salalah Tourism Festival will start on the second day of Eid al-Fitr. This footage was captured from this year's Kharif season. Here are the Ramadan timings for tomorrow. The Fajr prayers will be at 4:03 a.m. and the Maghrib prayers will be at 7:02 p.m. And now for the general weather forecast. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of Dhofar and nearby mountains, with chances of intermittent drizzle. The rest of the Sultanate will have clear to partly cloudy skies with chances of scattered rain, occasionally thunderous, accompanied by gusts of wind over parts of the Hajar Mountains during the afternoon. Winds will be southerly to southwesterly moderate to active along the coasts of the Arabian Sea, while it will be northwesterly light to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coastal areas of the Arabian Sea will be rough with a maximum wave height of 4 meters, and along the rest of the coast it will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Higher Education Admission Center announces that 31,493 scholarships are available for graduates of the General Diploma and its equivalent. The number of expatriate manpower in the Sultanate stabilized at more than 1.5 million workers by the end of May 2014. And 160 Palestinians are killed in 6 days of the Israeli offensive in Gaza. With that, we come to an end to tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, good night.